Hey everybody, it's 6 o'clock. Time to get started. Welcome back. We're at session 15 out of like 23. So we are well over the midway point of the course. And wait, is the mic? I think people can hear me. It might be your computer, Travis, because I'm seeing that my audio is going through on Zoom. That's all right. Okay. Thanks. Good. Thanks for letting me know. That's all right. But thanks for chatting up. I was going to say speaking up. That's not really a thing. But good. So we are definitely heading into the final part of the course, and no more is that more obvious than the last two projects that you've got, right? As we saw a couple weeks ago, Project 5 is different, as we'll see next week. Project 6 is the Android project is a whole other dimension. Good stuff, but I think in some respects the course is getting a little bit more interesting and challenging in its own way. Although I've had feedback from some students that have said, hey, by the time you get to Android, you know all that Java stuff, and they can actually focus on the Android stuff, and that's fun. So anyway, that's next week. Let's see here. Tonight, we're going to focus on Project 5. And Project 5 is due a week from Wednesday, so you've got a little over a week to get it done. And what I hope you've done to prepare for tonight is review the content from, let's see here, February 12th. We spent some time in class creating the project, using a debugger to step through both the client side and the server side to get a feel for the code. And then I recorded a bonus screencast over the weekend, which talked about how Project 5 is tested. And it's got some things that are familiar to you, like the JUnit API and the Hamcrest API. But then it uses some things that are unfamiliar, like Mockito. Again, I hope you had a chance to review that before this class, because I'm going to build on that to then explore more of the code through a refactoring exercise. And we're going to refactor the dictionary application that was created out of the box into something that looks a lot more like the, actually, I'm just going to hide all these Zoom panels. That looks a lot more like your airline application. I think that will give you a better understanding of how to get started, and then hopefully get you thinking about it and get you more familiar with the various pieces and parts. But before we dive into that, I wanted to open up for questions that anybody has regarding either Project 4 that was due last week. I apologize that only some of you have gotten feedback yet. The graders got kind of a late start. I think they had some other stuff to do over the weekend. So I think some of you have gotten your Project 4s, others of you haven't. But I aim to get those back to you. Well, I've asked the graders to get those back to you as soon as they can. What can I tell you? Nothing tonight? That's fine. Actually, I hope, like, one of the things I noticed over the weekend is that I was a little quieter. We needed a week to catch our breaths. No question about it. I needed it too. It's kind of nice not to have a whole bunch of stuff to prepare for, a whole bunch of questions to respond to. So it's, I think it's, if you're like, wow, I had time to work on my other classes this weekend. What's going on? It's because I didn't give you, you haven't signed up to this class. But don't worry, next week you will. So yeah. And so yeah, the plan of attack is due this coming Sunday, and then Project 5 itself is due next Wednesday. Okay. Well, hearing no questions, let's just dive into it. So let's see here. Previously on Project 5. So as you'll recall, there are two parts to Project 5. There is the server and the client. And when you created your Project 5, which I hope you've all done, all demonstrated, sort of worked through that that workflow that we saw in the first introductory class, where you created, you had two shells open, and you had your J running in one and your client running in the other, or use the web browser to hit the J server or whatever. I hope you've gotten familiar with that, so that dictionary application, so that you sort of have those foundations, and now you can start focusing on how to turn that thing into an airline application. But just as a reminder, you run the maven w command when you say jetty:\run, this will execute the run task of the Jetty plugin. And what this will do is it will, let's put this in debugging mode. It will start up a Jetty server. I should have started this before class. It's a little slow getting off the ground. It's been a while. Everything's been paged out. And what this does is it builds the REST API, the server-side part of your application. And if you'll recall from the Foundations of the Web lecture, there's a piece of software called Jetty, which implements the standard Java web application, web container functionality, including providing an implementation of the Servlet API, which is the Java API that that ultimately receives web requests. So you've got that over there, and we saw, actually we'll just do it here. When you go to localhost 8080 airlines, this gives you an out-of-the-box HTML form, which is kind of nice to play with. Just be clear though, it's not part of the assignment. You don't need to modify it, you don't need to make it work. I'm not going to test your HTML form. It's there for you to play with if it's something that is helpful to you. Here we can create pairs in the dictionary, like doe deer, female deer, and then we can do things like list all of the items in the dictionary. And actually, while we're doing that, you'll see that things are printed out here to the standard output of the servlet. And then we can add more words. Ray, drop in the sun. Yep, there it is. Basically the web browser is talking to the server receives the request, fulfills it, and prints out a little message saying that it did it. Additionally, you can access, so basically over here on the right is the server providing the REST API, and the REST API is nothing more than just responding to HTTP URLs, but with certain semantics as you learned about it in the lecture. Over here on the left, I can also execute the main method of the airline client, and I do that by executing the main method of this airline jar, and I give it some command line arguments like the host and the name. And now when I do that, it prints out all the words, and as you probably saw over here, it prints out, here's what I'm doing. So it's once again getting all dictionary entries, just like it did up here, except that this one came from the command line client. This first one came from the web UI, from the HTML page. So that's what you get out of the box, right? These two pieces of parts. And ultimately, though, if you look at the assignment, you want to implement an airline. And you'll want to have similar functionality to your other projects, right? The ability to add flights to an airline. And what's new is that you can query an airline. You can ask for all of the direct flights between two airports. And along the way, you'll use code from your previous projects, like certainly your airline and your flight class, but also your XML, dump in your XML parser, because the wire format, if you will, between the server and the client is XML. And you also use your pretty printer on the client side, because what the command line client will do is pretty print your airline. So there's still lots of code reuse in this, although the kind of new thing is working with with the web application to implement the REST API, the servlet to implement the REST API, and of course you'll need to write your pretty printer. Sorry, you'll need to write your the search functionality too over the flights in the airline. So I'm going to leave a lot of the exercise to you all, right? For doing the search, hopefully you can figure out how to do that. Just write some unit tests, and it should be pretty straightforward. Same thing with sort of hooking up the command line parsing, right? You already know how to do that. Of course, obviously the format of the command line is very different. But what I want to focus on tonight is, again, it's a refactoring exercise where we really morph the dictionary application into the airline application, and we're going to do a couple of things. First of all, we're going to do a lot of renaming. Right, a big part of refactoring like this is the changing the terminology that's used, because the domain that you're modeling is different. Even though really, sort of mechanically, we're going to be using a lot of the same things. And then the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to start to use the airline and the flight classes, so you can see where instead of just a dictionary of two words, of two strings, we'll start using actual objects and or strongly typed objects for your airline and for your flight. So I'm going to narrate this along the way, and if you have questions, please speak up in the room or post something on chat. It's going to be kind of stream of consciousness, and I apologize for being stream of unconsciousness if it gets boring. But as always, I'm here for you. Let me know if there's something that you want me to repeat or go into more detail about. So let's see here. I don't need the katas right now. What I need is the joy of coding. Okay, so airline web. Let's see here. I'm on my main branch. I am up to date. I'm going to, let's see here. I don't think I need this thing anymore. XML stuff. I don't think I'm going to do that. Oh yeah, and by the way, tonight I'm not going to do anything with XML. I'm just going to do stuff with the text dumper and the text writer, and you can replace that with XML. You'll get the point. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a look at the application and sort of figure out what things need to change and how. And like one of the first questions that I have is, do I want to do the refactoring from like the outside in or inside out? Meaning, it's like, do I want to refactor the servlet first and then have all those changes propagate all the way up to the client? Or do I want to start refactoring the client and have it make its way all back to the server? And along the way, I'd like to keep as many of the tests running as possible. The thing with refactoring, as we've learned, like when we did the refactoring kata for the gilded rose, having those tests and keeping them passing, as you're doing your refactoring, can be really, really helpful. As you may recall from the, from the bonus screencast, I added some tests along the way. So I don't know. Do any of you have an idea of whether it makes sense to like change the stuff in the client first and have it propagate back to the servlet, or servlet to the client? I'm not sure how to make the choice. Coin flip? I don't know. Prior client? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. Oh, yeah. Maybe we can, right. We can sort of see it. Yeah, get the class. Yeah, okay. Use the client along the way, and then, and then we can, okay, yeah, I kind of like this. Right, because you have this nice divide between the front and the back end. And what we might be able to do is use the servlet as is, and then just refactor the client to use the airline terminology. And I think as long as we can parse basically whatever the client returns, that could work. That could work. I like that. Yeah, good point. Right. Yeah, it's like how do we get something out of sync? Well, I mean, I think what will tell us is our tests, and so we have to make sure to rerun our tests often to give us the give us the feedback that we need to know that we've broken something. Yeah, let's give it a try. Okay, I like that. So basically, okay, so we have this command line interface, and let's see here. I think what we want. So right now everything sort of is two strings: the the word and the definition. And I think if we just took those two strings and said, well, instead of that being the name of the definition, what if that was the name of the airline, and then like the most simplest thing about the flight, like number of the flight? Because I think my goal for tonight is sort of like refactor enough stuff so that everything else is kind of wash and repeat from there for you all. So let's make this so that you can do things like have the name of an airline, like Air PSU, and actually let's just have that in two words, Air PSU, and then flight 1, 2, 3, and so you can add that just like you can now, and then I say, oh, give me all the flights for Air PSU, and I want it to return 1, 2, 3, right? So this would be like the pretty output of my airline. Yeah, let's see what it will take to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of trace the code through and do lots of renaming um, to again, make my code so that it looks like an airline application, even though it's doing a lot of the same things that it did as a yeah as a dictionary. And I'm going to do this test driven. And so I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start with my integration test for Project 5. Let's just see how that works. So here, let's see here. I think all that stays the same. And now, let's see here. Get all dictionary entries. Now, I don't really have the equivalent of that in the airline application, right? Because I mean, you only pretty print one, yeah, one airline at a time. So basically, in the in the airline application, you always provide the name of an airline. So this test doesn't make any sense anymore. As a matter of fact, probably the proper thing to do is like if it's missing an airline name, then throw an error. But maybe I'll save that for later. Okay. And so then now, uh, yeah, it's going to say returns the definition for a given word. Oh wait, this is not a test though. This is some sort of like helper. What am I looking at here? Oh, wait, it's a REST client. I'm totally. How did I do that? I totally looked at the wrong class. I thought. Oh, I see. The integration test is over here. I'm going to move this over to the right. I'm going to keep my tests on the right. Now move to opposite group. Nice. Okay, here we go. So let's see here. Test 1 is probably going to remove all mappings. So, okay, this is where I want to change my terminology. So I don't want to say move all mappings. Mapping is a terrible word. It should be remove all definitions. It should be, okay, so I want to remove all airlines. And this is just some cleanup code there. And now I'm going to, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to use a lot of keyboard shortcuts tonight. But first I will show how to rename. So just in case you forgot, you say, well, I guess you say, you just right-click and say rename, which is one of the refactors. Also Shift X6 on my Mac. I say, okay, not dictionary entries, but remove all, oops, airlines. And let's see here. Well, I kind of already did that, but okay. Okay. Let's see here. No command line arguments. Yep, that'll be the same thing there. Empty server. So yeah, here, but we will need. Yeah, so this doesn't make much of any sense. I mean, we could do that, but this is supposed to like be an error case. So instead, what we want is instead of an empty server, we want, I guess, unknown. Yeah, this one doesn't make any sense anymore. So I'm just going to delete it. Okay. So now here, instead of no definition throws an appointment book rest exception, I'm going to say unknown airline throws appointment book rest exception. And now we don't send in words here, we send in airline name. And so, what I'm doing is, again, I'm just sort of renaming things so all of a sudden it looks like the right thing. But I still want the same behavior. If you ask for an airline that doesn't exist, then I want it to throw a HTTP not found REST exception. Okay. And by the way, you know what? This is an uncaught exception in main. You'll want to fix that. Here's a good one. Add definition. Well, this will be not a definition. We're adding flights. And here again, I'm just renaming things. Okay, we're going to have the airline here. And then we're going to have the flight here. And we're going to invoke that. Oh, actually, let's just change the values there. Oh, and here's something that's interesting. Well, we'll just call this airline. And because it's the main, everything's going to be a string. So we're going to do that. We don't want anything written to the error because we expect it to exist. Here, let's just say it always pre-prints it. So sure. And we'll say not define word as, but we'll say pretty print flight. do that. Oh, it's not flight. It's really like flight number. Oops. Bring up some stuff for me. That's nice of it. Flight number. And then, oh yeah, by the way, we're just going to then invoke it with just the airline, and again, making sure that's successful, and that here, we're going to say format dictionary entry. Is that what that used to be up there? No, it's defined word as. Okay, it's a little different. This is going to be, well, let's just, yeah, rename this to format flight. And again, I might change this later. I don't know. I don't want to get ahead of myself, though. That's the thing with the refactoring, right? Take baby steps and make sure your tests still work. You have to go back and change something later. You'll get there faster by making sure that you, yeah, making sure that you run your tests all the time. And this last thing, I think it then prints all. Yeah, and I don't want that. So I think I want it to be this way. Okay. Now, I've made some tests, some changes to the Project 5 integration tests. And I think I just renamed things, and I deleted some code. I didn't really change any of the fundamental behavior. I just started, again, refactoring and morphing my class. And you're like, oh my gosh, really? We're doing all this first? And yeah, I think this is the right way to go, because there's a lot of code that we need to refactor. And I know the mistake that I've made too many times in my career is that I just made lots of changes expecting that I got everything right, and I realized that, I'm already on step 23, and in step 4, I made some mistake. So, I've learned to take baby steps. That's okay. You'll get there. Now I'm going to run those integration tests. Those are going to run against my server that's already running. I don't think I need to rebuild my server because I really haven't changed much of anything. Let's see if it passes. I should have run my test before I refactored. Luckily, they also pass. Okay, that's cool. I'm going to commit this really quick. And I'm going to say use airline. Ooh, lots of things changed. Terminology in Project 5 IT. And I'm going to commit that up. Yep. Okay. Okay, well, that's my integration tests. And now I want to look at my main method and just start using the same terminology over here in my Project 5 main. Oops. Project 5. Yep, there it is. And it's on the wrong side. Back over to the other side. Okay. And again, here, yeah, there's some change. Well, I want to make hostname and port still stay the same. Instead of word and definition, I'm going to want airline. I want to, yeah, I think I'll rename all addresses to airline. And then instead of the definition, I'm going to say, oops, I'm going to say flight number. Now, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm going to say flight number there. And actually, I'm going to say, well, it should be flight number as string. Flight number string, I'm going to call that. Well, actually, I'll get there in a minute. Okay, so now I go through and I do my checkings the same way as before. Port string, great. Parse the port string. Create my airline REST client, all the same thing there. Oh yeah, the airline. If the airline equals null, this is going to be an error now. So I'll just let's see here. I'll delete this. Yeah, I'll delete that and just say system.error.println. Oops, missing airline. Thank you. I kind of like the GitHub profile. It's all right. And then I'll return from that. Now I don't have a test for this at the moment, and that's fine. I could have added one over here in the IT. And then let's see here. If flight number equals null, is that print all dictionary entries. It's pretty print the airline. Pretty print the airline. Gosh, airline. And here. That's interesting. Format. Okay, so this is a little different. This is just getting the one get definition of airline. Okay, so this is where I want to start changing things about my client. Yeah. Okay, nice. So then this is going to be, instead of get definition, this is going to be get flights, or really get airline, like that. And this is, I'm going to change this now. It's not going to format it here. Instead, what I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to make some, changes here. But I want to change a couple more things here first. Okay, actually, so maybe I'll keep that just so my tests will continue to pass. Okay, client, instead of add dictionary entry, I'm going to say add flight. I'm going to give it the airline and the flight number. Now, of course, for real, you'll pass in all the arguments here. Actually, what we'll do is we'll pass in a flight object. So we'll do that, but it's sort of after the next refactoring. And then, sure, we'll, for the time being, yeah, we'll just have that. Probably for like your assignment, if there's I can't remember, is there a dash print option? I think there might be. Then you would, print it out if there's a dash print option is present. But that'll be for you all to figure out. Okay, so now I changed all the terminology here. Error message, use, well, instead of host port, instead of word and definition, let's just say airline, and actually airline is required, and then flight is optional, flight number. And here again, I mean, y'all can figure this out, but I don't know, I think it makes it a little bit more obvious here. So name of airline, thank you, and then flight number, flight number, flight number. Orange fancy AI now, great. Okay, we'll leave that little point in place. Okay, I'm going to run the test again. So now I've changed my main. Okay, everything still works. This is good and not terribly surprising because here again, I haven't changed very much. I'm going to commit that. So use airline terminology in project 5. And see, along the way, I'm making some changes. But here again, I'm going slow. I'm taking baby steps. And actually, let me go see how things are looking on GitHub. Oops, that's not me. That's a student. Sorry, Dylan. What did I do wrong there? Join coding. So let's see here. Let's look at the actions. Is everything still building here? Yep. Okay, that's looking good. And that's just another piece of feedback, right? We can look at the continuous integration that's happening there. Okay. So we've renamed stuff in the test, and here we go. We're working our way from sort of the outside to the inside. We've renamed project 5, and here's where I want to make, I think, some more interesting changes. So like the add flight method, I don't want it to take just a flight number. I want to take a flight object. So okay, it's time for me to create a flight object. And my flights right now is only going to contain a number, the flight number. And oh, actually, wait, oh yeah, but this starts its life as a string. So I'm going to rename this guy right here, who's a string, flight number string, just so that it's like abundantly obvious. Yeah, name all of that. That it's a string. And then I'm going to do the following. I'm going to say flight equals new flight. And actually, I need to give it the flight number as an integer. Equals integer.parsent, flight number string. Thank you. And you all have to handle the exception. I will not. And now I'm going to create this class. Now let's see here. I'm going to create class flight. I'm not going to use the one that already exists. You can just copy over your flight code that you've already written. I'm just going to create a new one here. Extends abstract flight. And the same thing goes with your, that's not what I want. Yep, all this stuff here. You can just copy over the flight and the airline you've been working on forever. Same thing with your pretty printer and your XML parser. Depending on how you wrote those classes, you might not need to change them for this. Especially if you like did what you did for your text parser, where I think the out-of-the-box text parser took like an instance of Java IO reader and used a very abstract thing, so you passed it in. If you did that, then you probably don't need to change it at all. You just need to know to pass in things like the print, or the yeah, print in the like pass in like the print write or return from the servlet and something like the servlet API. But anyway, we'll see that in a little bit. Okay, so I got a whole bunch of code to implement here. Oh, and I need to add a constructor here for flight number. So I will add that constructor with the flight number. I'll say this stuff, flight number, equals flight number. And then I'll go ahead and create that field. Yep. And then I'm going to get number, return this dot flight number. Oops, and I'll say return. Nice. And the other stuff I'm not going to use. I'll leave them as unsupported operation exceptions. Okay, and so now I want my add flight not to take the string, but to take the flight itself. Yeah. And then I'm going to change the second parameter of add flight from string to flight. So now that my add flight will take a flight object. I do not like the names of these. This is no longer just the word. I'm going to rename it to airline. And instead of definition, it's going to be flight. Oops. And it's cool that IntelliJ is telling me all this stuff. And so now, okay, it changed that. Now that probably broke some other things too, so we'll have to go through and refactor some code some more. But that's okay. Okay, and then the message, well, we'll just keep this for the time being. That's probably fine because it'll make the test pass. Okay, so now I'm going to try running my tests again. I expect it not to compile because there are other usages of add flight that don't have a flight object. That's exactly what happened. Okay. Ooh, look at all that good stuff. Okay, so here, oh yeah, I changed the implementation of add flight, and it takes an airline, takes a flight, and it's saying, okay, this is in the airline REST client. Okay, this is good to know. So now I need to go through and basically propagate the refactoring that I made here when I added the flight off to the airline REST client class. And over here on the right, I'm going to look at the test for that. Airline REST client test. Or like the integration test and the unit test. Let's just do the unit test first. Oops. And then move that over there. Because I'll have to, again, update terminology and such like that. First, I want to get this to compile. So what this does is this is the thing that does the post. And here, I'm going to say, okay, this takes a whole takes a map of strings, but here I'm putting in this flight right here. That's not going to work. So here I want to say flight.getNumber, and I need to turn that into a string. So I'm going to do that with string.valueof. Oops. Ooh, my IntelliJ is going a little slow tonight. Nice. This is getting kind of hard to read, actually, though. So I'm going to put this on a separate line. That's still kind of hard to read. Let's see here. What if I did this? What if I did this? Yeah, there you go. Now it's a little messy. Cool. Actually, I wanted to do one more. There we go. Okay. So now I'm creating a map with the airline and the flight number. I want to come back and rename these to. I probably can do that. I think it's safe to do that now. So this isn't. So these are actually, yeah. These are the constants in the servlet that are used for the parameters in the URL parameters. So I'm going to say instead of word parameter, this is going to be airline parameter, and you can use airline name too also. And instead of definition, this is going to be flight number parameter. And here again, you know, I'm doing this via refactoring. If you want to like start over from scratch, sure, you're welcome to it. But my experience has been that that might be kind of dangerous. But if it helps you go faster, or if you start refactoring yourself and everything sort of gets out of whack, you know, hey, I completely understand. Okay, so this compiles now, but there are two related problems. And they're both in, oh, this integration test right here. So, okay, I'll fix the integration test first. So maybe that's all right. Let's see here. Okay, so here is, right, we use define one word. Okay, this is another place where we need to go through and start renaming things to airlines. So here we go, remove all airlines, great. Oh, I wonder why that, okay. Oh, I guess it automatically changed it here for me. Empty server contains no dictionary entries. Yes, but we don't have to get all dictionary entries anymore. Should probably just remove that method from the client so it finds code like this and just throws it away. Okay, now define one word. This is going to be, add airline. So, or add flight. Add flight. And okay, test word. Well, we're just going to rename this to airline. Thanks. Airline. And then definition. Again, this will be the flight, but instead of test definition, this doesn't take a string anymore. It takes a flight. So let's just go ahead and do that. Oh, are questions coming in chat? Did I miss it? I apologize. Okay, you can see it now. Good. Okay. Thanks for speaking up. You go away again. No, I'll hide it. Airline and flight. I need to create the flight and have this be new flight. One, two, three. Nice. Okay. Oh, this is getting interesting now. So I'm going to have to in order to make this test pass, I'm also going to need to change the get airline method here to return an instance of airline, which is good. Okay. So then, yeah, this is going to take a little bit longer. That's fine. So I don't need this test definition anymore. I do want to have, I can just do that. Okay, so now instead of get airline returning a definition, now I want it to return an airline. Now I'm making a lot more changes. It's been a while since I've committed. I'm starting to get a little anxious about that, but I know that it just takes, just takes some time to get everything there. I guess this is like airline 2. Yeah, I'll call that airline 2. Well, actually, no, wait. Okay, this should be airline name then. Airline name, and this can be the airline object. Great. Right, the whole idea is that I want my API, my client API, to use fluent types for the domain. Now, when they were words and definitions, it was all strings. But now that it's going to be an airline application, I want to use the airline classes. Right, that makes it much more easier to work with, and instead of like having to deal with a bunch of strings. Right, it's just like how you represent a number using an int instead of using the string value of it. And then I want to assert that. Well, I guess I got to create this airline class first. So I'm going to do that. Create an airline class. I'm going to put it in the package there. I'm going to say extends abstract airline. Oops, airline and abstract airline of flight. Nice-ish, I guess. There's a create flight that has it. That's not right. Geez, okay, interesting. How do I get it to fill in this? Isn't it interesting? The AI hallucinated this, right? There is no create flight method that it overrides. So it's like, yeah, you know what? I mean, it's like how many, no, it's not like it's been trained on your assignments. I don't know why I got that. Anyway, nice, but I got to admit, got the rest of the stuff right. So that's all good. What does this? Probably missing some class that must add. Okay, maybe add a flight to it. And yep, I will. I don't know. Should I implement all this now? Nah, I'll wait for something to break and then implement it. Okay, so it's got related problems all over the place. But the rest of the stuff I think looks pretty good. What doesn't it like here? No, just complaining about this. Okay, but now I want to assert that airline dot get name equals to the airline name. Airline name. Why is that yellow? Because of produce a null pointer exception? No, why does it think that, I wonder? Oh, because it doesn't. Okay, maybe it's smart to figure that out. But I also want to say that the flight that I get back has size equal to 1. Thanks, and that, oh, what was it telling me I should do now? That's pretty much what I want. Nice. But then it doesn't, but it gets it wrong. I love it. Yeah, what do I want to do? I guess I want to say, I want to get the iterator. I want to say iterator next equals to flight. Yeah, good enough. Okay. And let's see here. Is this the integration test or is this the, no, that is the integration test. Okay. And then let's see here. It's still complaining about this because right now get airline returns a string and it should return should return an airline instead. So let's fix that. So I'm going to go here and this is going to return an airline instead. Okay. Now let's see here. Oh, import this. What doesn't it like? What? No, what doesn't it like? Did it not create the airline in the right place? Nope, it's in airline web. And it's in, oh wait, it's off in the integration test. Sorry, this should be in the, I added it in the wrong place. That should be over in the main source. Move over here. Okay, maybe it's happier now, and then airline, REST client. I found it, yay, okay. Okay, so let's see here. It goes off, and okay, now instead of taking a word, it's going to take an airline name. I'm going to replace all code currencies. Oh, yeah, sure. Airline name. And then here, okay, good. I'm going to use my text parser, and this is the one that came with the project. I'm still going to do the same thing. I want to make the call off to the REST API. It's going to return, it's going to do its checking, and it's going to create the text parser. But now my text parser, instead of returning a map, I want my text parser to return an airline. So I'm going to do that and instead say, please make get airline, no, make parse, return an airline. Okay, so let's try this out. So now I want my text parser to actually extend airline parser. Very nice. And then import class. Yep. And then I think I need to give it a type, right? Oh, it's implements. Yep, implements an airline parser of airline. I'm pretty sure I've got one of those. Yep, now it's happier. Let's see here. What is it saying? It doesn't have an override annotation, so let's add it. That's awesome. Okay, so now when I parse something, it should return an airline. And so then now here, okay, it's the same thing where it's going to be an airline name and a flight. So then let's see here. For this one, well, let's just keep it simple for now, and then we'll make it work better. Let's see here. I don't have that. Yeah, I'm only going to have it read one line right now. And if it matches it, I'm going to say the following. So it's not going to be the word. It's going to be the airline name. And it's going to be the flight number. And now I'm going to do is I'm going to return. I'm going to make a new airline. Airline equals new airline. Airline name. I'm liking the AI. Flight. Oh, wait, was it just going to tell me what to do? Oh, yeah, okay. I'm liking this. And, of course, it'll do error checking and everything like that. But, boy, okay. I'll take it. Go ahead, Copilot. Cool. And so now, and again, this you will use your XML parser. You've already got this code, but I need to sort of hack all this together to get everything to work end to end. That's fine. And so I'm like, even though I'm using this hokey format, it'll work. For example, I want to make it work. It's got a couple of problems. Oh, good. Here's like get all dictionary entries, which I don't want anymore. So I'm just going to delete this. This will cause some more problems. That's all right. It's time for this to go. And then let's see here. Dump and parse with the the parser test. Okay. Nope, fair enough. I need to change this one, I guess, to then use airlines and, okay, yeah, use airlines and flights. Or not. I don't know. This seems a little overkill at the moment. So this one, I don't know, I might just delete this because, I mean, you've got unit tests for your XML dumper, or Yadu. And so then, do I need this? I don't know if I need this right now. Nah, this is just really, that's just really specific to the dictionary. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this class entirely. Yeah, I don't think I need, I don't want that test anymore. I'm just going to delete it. Okay, I've made a whole ton of changes, and I don't even know where anything stands anymore. So I'm just going to build my project to see if I can, to see what compiles and what doesn't. Well, I guess it's got a couple of related problems here. So there'll be some things to fix up. And this is what you do in, in refactoring. And these big refactorings like this, you have to just do a lot of, watch, rinse, and repeat to get everything going. Oh, cool, this is good. Nice. Okay, so this is failing, and I see this is failing over here in the airline REST client test. I'm just gonna, because I don't have all the dictionary entries anymore, I'm just gonna delete this test. I don't think I need it anymore. Oh, interesting. That was the only test in REST airline client, which, no, I want to keep this, I think. Yeah, I think I do want to keep this, actually. Well, this is an interesting one. Okay, but I don't want to do get all dictionary entries. I got so much stuff going on. It's hard for me to like concentrate. And this is what happens again when you're making these big code changes. Okay, so here let's just fix this one first, and this is in the main or something. I did that for the panel. Yeah, that's in the main. I'm going to say, okay, it's going to be the airline that I get. So I'm going to extract a variable called airline1. I'm going to rename this thing airline name. Code occurrences airline name. And I've got my airline. I'm going to call that airline, regular airline, not just that. And I want my message to be, well, what I pretty print here. So, yeah. Do I have a pretty, what's my pretty printer look like? Oh, neat. Okay, so this is good. So I'm going to change my pretty printer to be airline dumper, just like yours is. No, I don't want airline dictionary. And then I want my dump method to take an airline. I'm just going to override it, and I'm going to rename some stuff. And again, I think this is faster than renaming it. So let's see here. I don't need to have this thing anymore. And instead of a bunch of maps, I'm going to get all the flights from an airline. So I'm going to say flight in airline dot get flights. I'll go over all one of those. And now the word is going to be airline.name, airline.getName. I'm going to call this airline name. And the definition is going to be the flight number string. Actually, no, I'm going to do the flight number. I'm going to say int flight number equals flight number, and then I'm going to format these two strings. And again, you've got a real pretty printer that does the right thing. I'm making this this hokey one just to keep things working. Nice. Okay, so I think this is like an honest to goodness one. Format flight dictionary entry has a problem. Oh, okay. Here, right, now I'm just going to actually pretty print it out to the, yeah, I'm going to pretty print that. So I'm going to say new pretty printer. Doesn't have something called print airline. Gosh, why do you think it has that? And I'm going to create a string writer to send into it. String writer, steady, string writer, and pretty printer we're going to have this, and then actually I'm just going to dump the airline. And then the message is going to be the contents of that string writer, which is the pretty output. Oh, sure, AI doesn't put semicolons on the end, right? Okay. And see, this is what you'll do, right? You'll use a real pretty printer, right? There's no magic here. It's just it's actually using the the classes in the airline API instead of like all that dictionary stuff with all those maps that I had. This one seems to compile. Now over here in this airline REST client test, I want to make sure that, let's see here, when I send in, oh, this is going to be dictionary as text. Okay, so now here, I'm just going to send in an airline. Yeah, okay, this is cool. I'm going to create an airline to test with. So airline equals new airline, and I'm going to say airline name. I'm going to create this. I'm not going to, what am I doing? I want to create a variable. People are coming and going. I'll create a local variable for airline name. I'm going to call it airline name. I'm going to add a flight to it, so I'm going to need the flight number equals 123, and then I'm going to say airline add flight, new flight number, yay, sweet. And now here, okay, so as you remember from the bonus lecture, this like creates a mock HTTP request helper. So then, oh, here we're getting, what are we doing? Oh, okay, yeah. Here we're going to say when it equals a map of airline airline servlet dot airline parameter with the airline name. Yeah. When it asks for the airline with the airline name, then it's going to return not dictionary as text, but it's going to be airline as text. For the airline. And then when I call, I'm going to get the client with that fake HTTP, and then I'm going to assert that following. I'm going to say get airline with the airline name. Airline name. And here I'm going to put this in a variable. Sure, I'll call it airline 1. Yeah, sure. I say the airline1 dot get name. I should probably do a null check there. Equals to airline name. And I'm going to do that same thing where I assert that airline 9 get flight has as one element in it. And then I'm going to say that the airline 1 that I read back, get flights iterated. Oh, it learned. Okay. Thank you, AI. Right, and then it gets me the same thing. Actually, it's interesting. So for me, I look at what the AI is giving me. It's like, that's exactly what I wanted to type. Maybe you're having a different experience, and I apologize if you're like, I'm glad the AI and Dave know what they're doing, and it might be completely different from you. This, to me, I think continues to reinforce that the AI is like very helpful for someone that sort of like knows what they're doing and can basically get things out of my mind faster than my fingers can. But then maybe for you all, where it's like it's hard to tell whether or not the AI is hallucinating something or is giving you the right thing or giving you the wrong thing. Really curious to see what your experiences are like with this. Okay, and now I know I need to, actually maybe I don't need to fix this. Does my text dumper take an airline? Oh, no, wait. No, airline is text. Right, this thing needs to take an airline now. Airline, and then this is going to be an airline. So here's where I'm dumping. I'm going to use my text dumper. I need to change now my text dumper to take an airline. And I did a similar refactoring with my text writer, but now it's going to be an airline dumper. Oops, implements, yep, airline dumper. Yep, airline, yes, okay. And now it's going to dump an airline. airline, and then so I can do all of this so quickly because the tools are helping me. Forget about the AI. IntelliJ is giving me all sorts of good stuff. Um, yeah, that's why it goes so fast. Okay, here again. Okay, we're going to yeah, we're going to print some stuff here. Instead of every entry in that map, we're going to say flight is airline.getFlights. Yep. And here I'm going to say airline dot get name. Oops. Name? Nope. Okay. Get name colon flight dot get number. Oops. Nice. Okay. I've got some other problems. I'm making so many changes. I haven't run my tests in like 20 minutes. People are asking stuff on chat. Okay. Oh, nice. Yeah, good commentary on yep, on what the AI is doing. Good, good, good. Well, maybe we can have a conversation about that sometime. This is good stuff. It's complaining about a couple of things. Okay, here in the servlet. Okay, now I gotta start changing my servlet code because I'm changing. Oh, I'm changing things over here. Oh, this is interesting. I kind of don't want to change this yet because I haven't rebuilt my servlet code. And now this is like, oh boy, now this is a big step. Let's see here. What do I want to do? I'm not ready to change this yet, so I'm going to comment out the code. Now, I don't have to change it yet because I'm not going to rebuild my servlet that's running. The servlet that's running right now over here in my terminal, this has been running for like 20 minutes now. I've probably been talking for, I don't know how long, an hour, geez. Yeah, it's not, but it hasn't changed because I haven't rebuilt it. So even though I'm changing the code around it, the code that uses it, I'm not ready to make that work yet. Let's see here in this right here. Oh yeah, write all dictionary entries. It's ultimately not going to need this whole thing, so that method's going to go away eventually anyway. Okay. And once again, I've sort of like lost track of where I'm at. Let's see what builds. And everything compiles, I'm going to start running tests, and I'm sure there's going to be some things I'm going to need to fix. So I've changed a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, I'm missing probably some semicolons someplace. Oh, wait, what's going on here? What doesn't line up here? That lines up with that. That lines up with that. Oh, I guess I have an extra. Did I get rid of an if statement or something? Well, that's interesting. I wonder what happened there. Why do I have? Well, that should be okay. Missing return statement. Oh, really? What did I forget to do? Oh, yeah, I forgot to return the airline after I parse it. That would do it. Okay. So I'm going to build it again from IntelliJ and see what it's doing. I don't know about this. What is it telling me here about a for statement? For statement does not loop. That is true. That's good. And once again, I'm missing a return statement. Oh, okay. Right. Okay. So if it doesn't loop, I should have a return null or something. Or I should throw an exception, but whatever. Let's see what that does. Okay, so here's another place where it doesn't like something. Oh, what is this? It's complaining. Oh yeah, add flight. Let's see here. Empty word throws an exception. Sure. Okay. And so then it just calls empty flight with that. Yeah, so I'll just say new flight 0 or something. It doesn't matter for this test, I don't think. Okay, so I'm going to start running some tests. I am going to try this airline REST client test. This was a unit test for a REST airline client that uses Mockito to mock out what the HTTP servlet request or the HTTP what the REST client does, the HTTP request helper. I'm going to run this to see. This is the simplest test to me because it doesn't actually call the server. Let's see if this works. Oh, it does not. says this method isn't implemented yet, probably because, oh yeah, add flight, I didn't have flights there. That's fine. So let's see here. Oops, I want to say this dot flights, dot add flight, and I need to create this field, and it is going to be not a Unicode set. Seriously, I'm just going to have to be a list of flights, and yep, and then I'm going to import that, and I'm going to get rid of whatever the hell this is. And then I'm going to say it's going to be a new array list. And then I'm going to make this final because it never changes. Great, I'm going to have that added there. I'm going to have it return right here. I want to test again. Ooh, lots and lots of stuff. But I have tests, right, that will tell me whether or not things work. So that passed. Okay, I'm mildly impressed. Let's try something a little bit more challenging, like airline. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run all my unit tests, actually. There are only 2 of them, I guess, so not a big deal. I'm just going to see if they run. Because I never went back and I never looked at the GitHub to see if that stuff still passes. So let's see here. That should work. Okay, those still work. Now let's look at the integration tests and see if these work. Sure, there are going to be some failures here. So now these are the integration tests running against the Jetty has been running for a while now. Okay. Oh, look at that. This is an interesting test failure. It's saying that, oh, yeah. Okay, I'm comparing 2 flights, but flight doesn't implement equals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to override the equals method to just have it compare the numbers of the 2 flights. So I'm going to override, how do I do that? Code override method. It means control O, yeah, override methods. I'm going to override equals. And then I'm going to say the following. Hey, generate an equals. Yes! That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, super sweet. That doesn't like here. Well, replace it with a variable pattern. Yes, sir. Yes, please. Thank you. Oh, can I do that? I guess that'll, I don't know if that'll work. Actually, I don't know if that'll work with that old version of Java that I compile it against. Okay, sweet. Okay, well, let's give it a try. So here again, I'm using my tools, whether it's my Copilot or whether it's IntelliJ, just to help me do things. Okay, wow. Oh, I did a lot of refactoring, right? I changed a lot of things, and I renamed a bunch of stuff, and I started propagating my my types, my airline and my flight, all through the system. So I had to touch the text dumper and the pretty printer and all that kind of stuff. But this appears to be working. So the next thing that I want to do, I think, is, but I bet it doesn't work on the servlet side yet. But I will find that out. Let me just commit this stuff here. And so then significant refactoring of client-side code to use the airline and flight types. I'm going to push this up, but I bet it's going to fail. And so let's just take a quick look at that here in my own environment, because I'm pretty sure that because I commented out that code in the servlet, I bet if I try to do a Maven W clean verify, the integration tests, maybe the unit tests, no, the unit tests will be okay. The integration tests are going to fail right now. And that's okay, right? We can fix those shortly. Whew. While that's running, any questions? What was I really follow along? I know I'm going really fast. I'm changing a lot of things, but what can I tell you? What would you like to know? All a blur. Yeah, Greg, thanks for raising your hand. Feel free to come off mute or chat something.
Hey, just curious. I posted a question in the chat.
Oh,
Sorry for being late, but are we intending to code along with you? I was trying to
no. Oh,
keep
I'm
up,
sorry. I should have
but
made that clear up front. Yeah. No, this is not like follow along. This is like, honestly, Watch the video to see what I did if you want to catch up, and then just like take my code from my repository and put it in your own. Yeah, because I think that will. Well, that's my intent. Is that it'll help you get a good, a head start. I hope it does. But then again, if you find yourself that's just like I don't understand anything, I want to start on my own, you're welcome to do that. Oh, yep, things failed. Not surprisingly, probably because I got some null pointer exceptions. Okay, this is good to know. But in the meantime, I think we need a break. So then let's take 10. We'll be back at 7:15, and then we'll spend a little bit more time refactoring on the server side, so that we can get the servlet side code using the airline terminology and classes. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay, so the first part of class, yeah, kind of a whirlwind refactoring of all the stuff on the client side. But this is what like a major refactoring looks like, where you go through and yeah, when you're changing lots of terminology and introducing new types. So we did a lot of stuff there, right? We started out with our integration tests, and that was sort of the outside of the system. We've been working our way in. So we started with the integration tests, and we got to the Project 5 main class. Then we realized we had to change some things about the airline REST client. And we made a couple of changes on the servlet side, mainly renaming, but we, there was a boundary we didn't want to cross. We didn't want to have to go and change the servlet code just yet because we were focusing on the client. And along the way, we had to add airline and flight classes. Of course, you can just reuse your own. And same thing with the text dumper and the pretty printer. We had implementations there that were all about the dictionary. Well, now actually made those real airline dumpers and airline parsers and stuff. And of course, you'll use your real pretty printer, and you'll also use your XML parser and XML dumper instead of the text ones. But I'm not going to show you. I'm not going to take the time in class tonight to show you how to do how to parse XML. You did all that for your project 4. So the wire format is kind of this hokey format, but I think it's going to work well enough. Okay, now then we had a long running servlet over there on the right, and we were able to get our unit tests, or our integration tests to work with that. And then when we stopped that servlet and ran the integration tests from Maven, which of course rebuild that servlet with a couple of our changes in it, and then tried to run the integration tests against that, it failed. Not surprisingly, because we commented out some code on the servlet. And I want to validate that yes, we see the same thing. Oh, yep, not surprisingly, it failed on GitHub 2 when I pushed it up. And let's see here. All the jobs are failing. Let's look at the Java 17. I just want to make sure that it fails in approximately the same way as it did for me here locally, once it figures out how to scroll to the bottom of it. Let's see here. Yep, it looks like a null pointer exception with airline. I'm just kind of curious what that is. Cannot invoke get flights. So this is the pretty printer and Project 5 main. Well, that's interesting. Okay, this is cool. Well, so I guess so now what I want to do is I want to get the servlet. I want to refactor that to use all of the flight and the airline class and the flight and the airline terminology. And you know what? I could explore this particular exception that's failing right now, but I think what I want to do is I want to use my unit tests for the servlet to morph that into into shape and to get stuff working again. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with my excuse me. Oh, what is this? This is this name is wrong. I changed this method, but then didn't do that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to say get. I'm going to say get airline. What does this thing do? This does a get airline. Well, returns airline. Returns special flight. That's what that does. Okay. Nice. Okay, sorry, I got a little distracted there. Now I want to, here's my airline servlet. I'm going to move this over to the right because all of the sorry, I'll move over to the left. And then over here, I'm going to open up my airline servlet test. Servlet test. Okay. Oops. Nope, it is. Yeah, I had everything backwards. Okay. Now let's see here. Initially, the servlet contains no dictionary entries. Well, that's true. So maybe, yeah, but this is completely different behavior. And that might be true, but I don't think it's interesting anymore. So that doesn't apply to airlines. Okay, so instead of add one word to dictionary, I'm going to add one flight. I'm going to add airline with one flight. Okay, so now what do I do here? I'm going to start refactoring things again. So here, instead of word, I am going to say airline name, and we're going to call this airline. And here, once again, we're going to have the flight number. Now, because this is a servlet, all this stuff comes in as strings. So I'm going to say, instead of definition, it's going to be flight number. Oops. And again, just sort of test data, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now I'm mocking out all of this stuff. So once again, I'm mocking out the HTTP servlet requests that returns, a flight name and the flight number. Again, all as strings. I want to mock out the response. Sure, I'm going to what's written to the response. And here, what gets written to the response is the text format by the text dumper of that airline. Right. So that's what I expect to have happened there. So, okay, I'm going to capture what's written to the HTTP responses writer into this string writer. So this will work. Does this help? Nope, it does not. Okay. I guess computer glasses are next. And yeah, we're going to return that print writer. Great. I'll call it do post. Okay. So now, okay, I'm going to do the following. So now what I want is that when I'm going to ask the servlet for, oh wait, does this do a post? Oh, this is a post. This creates it. Okay, great. So I'm going to post that up there. Actually, I don't really care about what's written to that response anymore. Yeah, because like in project 5, you don't need to write anything when you post. So actually, well, I could keep that. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll keep that. But then, let's see here. I guess the important thing is, yeah, I want the status code to be okay. And then, okay, here's something that isn't going to work. So assert that the get the definition of the airline name. So I don't want get definition anymore. I want to say, okay, this is the method on the servlet itself that keeps track of the airlines. So I want to say, instead of get definition, I want to say get airline with the airline name. And here I don't want to assert anything about that, other than I guess it's not null. But I'm going to pull that into a variable. That's going to be the airline. And I want that to be a type of airline now instead of a string. And before I, oops, more chats came in. Check for no flights, post returns okay. Yeah, I could do that. Actually, you should probably do that. I have to admit that, yeah, by sort of working with the existing tests that we have, it's I'm realizing that there are more tests that we should add, and I'll let you do that. But yeah, make sure that, yeah, so I think really what we're doing here is that we're making sure that our post method has the appropriate side effect, which is to create a new airline with the flight that we expect. And so, yeah, we're going to do this again and assert that airline.getName equals to airline name. Why is that? It could be null, right? That's why it's saying that. Okay, and then, hey, is the AI going to airline dot get flights? Yeah, that was cool. That was cool. Equal to 1, and then Insert that airline dot. You had it. Come on. Yep. And then flight number. Okay, I guess that'll be okay. Nice. Okay, now I need to change this. I need to fix this. So I'm going to say make get airline return airline, and now we got to go fix the code. Now, here, okay, this is this little method that was just visible for testing, so it's not really part of the application as much as it is just helps us get at the get at the airlines from the servlet. So now I'm going to change this to airline name, and now instead of a dictionary, I'm just going to use this map to be my airlines. Um, airlines. Get airline name. So I need to change this then. Instead of being a map of string to string, it's going to be a string of map to airline. And now this is going to cause some other problems. So I'm just going to use F2 to go to all of the errors here. Okay, here is a place where, yep, we need to change it. So this is the post method in the servlet. And now, well, we need to rename some stuff. So this is going to be the airline name. Nice. And now instead of definition, this is going to be the flight number string. And we will log that same information, which is nice. And now here's the thing. So now instead of now instead of this, I'm going to let me do the following. So I'm going to say in flight number equals, I'm going to parse in flight number string. Of course, we'll check for the exception and stuff. And then I'm going to do the following. I'm just going to, you know what, I'm just going to, I want to say get first. I kind of do, but then again, I don't. I'm just going to create a new airline here. And of course, you won't do this. Instead, what you'll do is, see if the airline already exists and add to it, add to the existing one. But I don't have the need tonight. Yes, it's exactly what I want. And now I'm just going to put the airline name and airline. And now instead of, okay, this is just a post. So then, yep, I'll just, say just pretty print flight numbers, do that. And say SC, okay. Okay. So I think this will do the right thing now. So it calls post, and so now post will now deal with airlines. What if there are other errors I need to deal with first, though? Oh, there is. So right definition. Do I still need this? I think I do. But this will be different now. This will be, I think this will just, oh, here's where I use the text dumper. Okay, so this isn't right definition anymore. What is this? Is this right airline? So let's see here. Yeah, this is on the get. Okay, I don't have a test for this. So what should I do? I don't have a test for this, so I'm going to have this blow up. I'm going to have this, so this eventually will be something different. I'm not quite ready yet. So, and now this is going to, this is going to do something else. Ultimately, I want, actually, maybe I kind of do have this already. So I just need to dump the airline. That's probably what I want. Oops. It's called definition right now, and I'll change it. Come on. And then, okay, this isn't so bad. I think I'll just do it right now because it's straight in my head. Name. Okay. And so then this is right airline. A little bit more refactoring than I really wanted, but I think that was okay. I think that was safe. Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. And then, yep, no other problems with the code. Let's run the test. Everything I expect to compile, and let's see. Oh, there might be another class that's compile. Let's find out. So now what we're doing is we're working with the unit test for our airline servlet, right? And we've gone through and we've replaced all of the word and definition stuff with airline stuff. And it's green, which means that, okay, good, our do post does what we expect when we send in an airline and a flight. When we do the post, it creates it, and then when we go and get the airline from the servlet itself, so not by invoking do get, we just get it that way, it returns, yep, what we expect there. Okay, that's good. Rather interesting. So let me do that. Refactor servlets. Well, I get to do post. To use airline and flight classes. Another question, perhaps. We aren't using like JDBC for persistence. Are we planning on doing this for the other projects? Nope, no JDBC. Although I did take a note to consider replacing XML with JDBC. Although I don't know, XML in like a week, sorry, JDBC in a week, that might be a bit much. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I need to understand all of that. But yeah, I think we're at the point now where it's like, yeah, I think we can do JDBC. I think we could. Yeah, JDBC is like using a relational database, like like your SQL Server, your Oracle, or your MySQL, or whatever they're called these days. Yeah, stuff like that. Okay, so that passed. But I'm still pretty sure my integration test won't pass. Why do I think that? Because I still got commented out code. So let's add a new test that says the following. This will be, get airline with one flight. Let's see here. Void get airline with one flight. And so what's the best way for me to do that? I could use post to create it. What I'd kind of like to do, oh, thanks, it's kind of helpful actually. Oops, but I totally screwed something up. What did I just do there? Oh no, it like wrote an entire method for me. No, I don't want the beginning of it. Although maybe it's that right. Let's see here. So it doesn't have, yeah, it's saying I should have an add airline method. I kind of like that. I think I want that. Yeah. Okay, AI. Sure, I'll take that. Yeah, it doesn't need to be public though. And then, yeah, I like it. And so then I just need to know that this is just visible for testing. And maybe it will learn that too. Okay. So yeah, basically what I do here is I set up my data, I set up my flight and my airline, and then, okay, this is wrong though. I don't want this. So I don't need to mock out a, do I? Well, maybe I do. Wait, maybe this is right. Spice up get writer. What does it look like? Unhandle exception, IO exception. Okay, well, so then add that. Okay, no, this is cool. This is cool. Okay, so what did the AI just help me do? Well, it wrote me a test that does the following. It says, great, create an airline, create some test data with an airline name and a flight number, and then create some more test data like the airline flight objects. And then it's like, and just add that to your servlet directly. And I can do that. Great. This is fine for tests. Normally what I'd have to do is like go through and call the do post method. I didn't want to do all of that. So let's see, because I test do post up here in the first test. I don't really need to test it again. Let's just make it a lot easier. And now it's going to set up some mock objects to basically get the airline with the given name, which is exactly what it does. So it creates a mock request, a mock response. It captures the stuff from the string writer, which is exactly what I want. And it configures all that. And then it calls do get and sends in the mock request and the mock response. And this isn't exactly right. So, so basically, I do want to capture the text here. This is going to be the text representation of my airline, written by my text writer. And now what I want to do, yeah, I don't need. Sure, I can. Yeah, I'm just going to get this out of there. That's nice. I don't need that comment. So I'm going to make sure that it was, actually, I don't want the whole argument captor anymore. Do I? Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to test that right now. I'm going to say the following. I'm going to get the whatever was written to the print writer associated with the HTTP servlet response. And now, okay, I'm not going to do this. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop that. I don't want that either. I'm going to create a text parser. And here I'm going to pass in a reader, so a new string reader from my airline text. Airline text. And yep, it likes all that. Great. And now I'm going to, oh yeah, I'm going to create a part. You're going to get parsed airline. It throws some exceptions, so I will add that to method signature. And now I'm going to assert that. I'm going to say, yeah, I basically want all of this stuff, but I want that for parsed airline. And then flight number, yeah, flight number can be an int here. I'm going to keep it that way. I like it that way. And all that. Okay. Oops. Okay, so now what I'm doing here, again, is testing my doGet by setting up some data and then calling doGet with my airline of airline name, and then I expect that the text that was written in response by the servlet to contain an airline that when parsed has the airline name and the one flight with that flight number in it. I'm going to run this. I expect this to throw a null pointer exception, I think. I can't remember what I implemented and what I didn't. This is why I write tests. Oh, no, it passes. Well, that's kind of nice. I guess I must have implemented it. So now I'm like, I don't know what else I need to test. So maybe I should just run from the command line again and see how we're looking now. And here again, this is this test-driven approach to refactoring, right? I'm making these big changes to my program, and because I have tests, honestly, I don't need to think about whether or not my code works because it'll tell me whether or not my code works. And this is how I'm able to code after being awake for like 14 hours. So it takes, for me, test-driven development takes so much of the cognitive load off of it, and so then it makes me go faster because I don't make mistakes. Or when I do make a mistake, I find out about it right away, as opposed to like, oh, what have I done in the last 2 hours that might have broken? That's where that one bug is a feature. Yes. Bugs. Oh, yeah, it passed. Son of a gun. Yeah. Okay. So I guess I got to do get working. Okay. Um, okay. So now that's interesting. And now I'm going to I want to take another pass over it. I want to look at my code and see where I've got. Oh yeah, write all dictionary entries. Like this is something that shouldn't even exist anymore. So I kind of want to get rid of this method now. Right, so here, oh yeah, the airline parameter is required. So yeah, this is a place where I could, I suppose I could implement that functionality to say, like if the airline parameter doesn't exist, actually there's a thing for that, right? There's a missing parameter required. Yeah, response and airline parameter. Thank you. And so now I don't need this this method anymore. Where is that? Oops, what was this? Route dictionary entries. I don't need anymore, so I'm just going to save delete that. And I probably should. Well, I could write a unit test. So why not? I think I'll write that. So okay, this is not what I should have done first. I should have written a unit test to make sure that that is indeed an error. So I'm going to go and I'm going to revert this change that I made because I want to write a test before I go and change that functionality. So I'm going to say that airline name parameters. Airline name parameter is required. So now when I am going to create my, oops, come on, sorry, there we go. Yeah, I'm going to make my mock request and mock response here, and I guess I do need to have, well, I'll set in some other stuff. So let's see here. When I make my mock request, I'm not going to have it have any parameters. The airline parameter is going to be missing. And my response, I think I do need a print writer. So request.get print writer, or get writer, response.get writer. Response.get writer, then return. No, I just want a mock print writer. I guess that would be fine. But what does it look like? Get writer, handle exception, sure, grab that. Okay, so I'm mocking out a whole bunch of objects, and now when I call servlet, oh, I guess I need a servlet, which is, it was one step ahead of me. I love it. Do get with request response, yep. Then, oops, nope. Oh, sorry, I thought thank you. And now when I do get, I should verify. Ooh, it even knew. Son of a gun. That's interesting. Now, why did it know that? Wow. Is it listening to me? Like, how did the AI know that that is required? Because the code does not currently do that, right? The code for do get, unless it like hadn't realized I reverted it, right? Because this should fail right now, because when word is null, then it writes all those dictionaries entries and things like that, and I think it returns a 200. Yeah, well, that is really interesting. So get all dictionary entries. Okay, so now if I change it to say missing required parameter with the airline parameter, oops, I don't want to bug it. Now if I rerun it again, wow, what is it complaining about there? Okay, oh, it's something else. Wanted but not, oh, okay, sorry, it was not only that, but set status with, yeah, okay. What does it do? It prints out send error with that and then the message. Okay. I'll do that message. I guess there I could have, I could have used that code that like captures the, oh no, here's what I can do. I can just do this and then I can just say, yeah, I think that, oops, I need string. No, what doesn't it like? Oh, it should be send error, not set status. Oh, interesting. Okay, so the AI kind of led me wrong. I was, okay, that's cool, that's cool. Fascinating. But again, it helps to, oh, what is it like? Oh, because I need to say EQ. Put that on all the time. this is the thing about coding with AI, where it's like it gets you some of the way there, but you still need to know enough. And again, I'm just not convinced that it's a great tool for learning things. Although maybe you have different experiences with it. Actually, maybe we can just take. I don't know. Do you all use the AI assistant? Yeah.
Not for intelligent, I find it's been helpful about having
Okay. So not for writing code, but as much as analyzing, and explaining the code you have written.
yeah,
Yeah.
if it's like kind of building a math battery and stuff,
Yeah.
it'll just jerk around here, and it builds stuff and it's sort of doing, it's a lot easier to try to explain what's saying once.
Yeah.
It's messing around with other things, but it's super powerful.
Fascinating. Cool. Yeah. And, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, right. So AI is good at detecting patterns and then prompting you is like, oh, do you want to repeat the pattern again? Which shoot, right? How many times have I done stuff over and over again? Okay, that's cool. And then but then also I can imagine where it's like if you're trying to figure out how to write a piece of code, having it trying to prompt you is probably super annoying. Like even what we're seeing here, right? It gets it right, sometimes it gets it right, sometimes it doesn't. But then, if like you're writing a piece of code, it's like I don't understand, okay, this isn't working. What's wrong with it? Then it can probably tell you, okay, cool, that's nice, excellent, good, good, good. And then what if other people are talking about? Yeah, I can lead a 13 person to a bar. We can't make you pay the tab. That's a good point. Uh, yeah. I used Copilot at the start, but I turned it off, and I've learned a lot faster since. Okay, I'll use it again soon, then I better understand Java better. Yeah. And then, oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, Greg's working with the Neo4j API, and I got the basics down, but yeah, it just helps better with clarification. Okay, but yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah, that's those are all interesting insights. Again, I don't know enough about. I don't have enough experience with Copilot or AI assisted coding to know whether or not it's going to help you or harm you. So I don't mind if you use it. As a matter of fact, if anybody's like, "Oh my gosh, it's like helps me go really fast," well, good. I can't call this cheating. Because it doesn't seem to be helping people very much, right? It'd be one thing, and actually that would be the experiment. Actually, no, that's not true. I did run an experiment. Sorry, I'm going to commit this and then we're going to finish up. Uh, sorry. And I didn't remove the method I want to remove. Like the very first thing I did when when I installed Copilot was I'm like, okay, I want this to write project one for me, right? And so then, like what I did was, first of all, I'm like, hey, Copilot, here's the PDF. Can you give me some test cases? Like, I don't look outside myself. I'm not going to look at a PDF. Okay, fine. So then I copied and pasted the text from the PDF into a text file in IntelliJ. I'm like, hey, write some test cases for the description in project one. Sure, no problem, buddy. And then it like puts these test cases, and I'm like, wow, that's like amazing because they're actually pretty good. But I'm like, oh yeah, hey, but can you use the Hamcrest API for matching? Yeah, totally. And there it was. I'm like, okay, wow. I'm like, oh hey, can you use that invoke main test case class that I use? Yeah, sure, no problem. I'm like, holy mackerel, right? I mean, it's like so fast. And then of course, look deeper in the test case. And I'm like, well, that one's not exactly right. And it's like, yeah, hey, this one, writes to standard out, or this one writes to standard error. It just figures it all out, which is cool. And it's like, this isn't wrong. And again, for me, it's like I kind of know what I'm doing, but I would hope that if one of you did that, you would figure out things, and it's I don't know, helps you learn faster. So again, I'm not against it. I would like to know though what your experiences are and if you are using it, so then I can advise people in the future. Nice. Yeah, you think it's great for me? Yeah, while yeah, great for me while teaching. Yeah, it seems to be. It certainly saves some time tonight. And again, I'm old and tired, and so then it makes up for it. It's using my workflow and it covers me content quickly. But yeah, yeah, all good stuff. Okay, cool, excellent. Yeah, I appreciate your feedback and your observations. Um, let's see here. Get rid of a method that's no longer needed. Anyway, so we're just about done. Actually, we are done. So I just wanted to recap what we did tonight. So tonight was about two things. Primarily it was another example of refactoring, and where the refactoring kata that we did last week, last week anyway, or actually the last couple of weeks, earlier in the month, we'll say that. That kata is good to understand about refactoring, but not terribly relevant to you. I'd hope that what we're doing tonight is more relevant, and you can see how then we can use those same tools to change a lot of code, and because we had tests, we could do so safely and relatively quickly, right? We got a lot done in an hour and 40 minutes tonight. Amazing, yeah, an hour and 40 minutes. And so then, just to be clear, you can, feel free to use this as your starting point or as your jumping off point for Project 5. There's a lot of things you need to change, and that's all part of the assignment, right? You have to implement a lot more logic, and I'm sure, I think some of you pointed out, it's like, oh, it's going to do this differently in Project 5. Oh, you got to do this differently. Great, that's the whole idea. But I hope what this it would help what this helps you do between this and the other two screencasts about Project 5 is that it helps you feel more comfortable working with servlets, working with Mockito, those new concepts, and so you can focus more on leveraging those new APIs to implement your Project 5 as opposed to fighting and figuring it out. But I'm curious to hear what your experiences are, and of course curious to see what your Project 5 is looking like. So, anything else tonight that I can tell you? Anything left on your mind that you'd like me to cover before we quit? Okay then, no problem there. So next time on Wednesday, Project 6 is the last one. Yep. On Wednesday, we're doing our second mob program activity. That's going to be here in class. Please be here in person, and please bring an HDMI adapter. We'll do the same thing as last time. We have a new kata coming up. This is a interesting one. It's a good one. So I'll see you then, and then next week we start on our Android application. Yeah, we're getting close. Awesome. Thanks everybody. Have a great evening, and I'll see you in a couple of days.
Dave, you did say you were going to push this code up, right? Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh yeah, it's totally been pushed. You not
Oh,
see
got
it?
you. Cool. Cool. I'm sorry
Okay.
I missed that. Thanks.
That's all right.
Have a good
Thanks, you too.